Public discussion is no longer organic in the U.S. There's now a system that decides which stories can be reported by news outlets, which topics politicians are willing to comment on, and which topics should be deemed untouchable. We now have no-go topics. There are issues that will get you censored on social media and other places if you write about them. There are new topics within the news cycle that will get channels banned from YouTube if they post about them. The environment of acceptable speech contrasted with the topics that nobody dares to touch. This is what frames the so-called public discussion. But the public seems to be increasingly able to learn about these no-go topics somehow. Now, it's partly why during the COVID-19 pandemic that people questioned the establishment narratives. They were able to learn about banned narratives on vaccines, the virus origin, and other ever-changing narratives on the, quote, science. And this was despite the near total blanket programs to censor all unapproved discussions. The United Nations, though, through the WHO, even declared an information pandemic to censor the noise of too much information. The CDC set the standards of approved narratives for websites like YouTube. The FBI was secretly communicating with Facebook and Twitter and others, advising them on topics and people who the public should not be allowed to hear. But here the public did. And the question of how this is even possible was likely keeping plenty of people awake at night. Now, there is a strong stirring taking place right now. The old voices of authority are losing their hold on the hearts and minds of the public. This phenomenon, notably, was credited as what led to Trump taking office in 2016, when nearly every voice of authority tried to paint him with the worst of humanity, the basket of deplorables, you might remember. This phenomenon was credited as being the source of so-called vaccine hesitancy, the ability of people to learn about news they should not know about, a growing distrust in the systems of global governance, a distrust in the media establishment, and the pillars of the old world are now crumbling down. It was in this context that former Fox News host Tucker Carlson took the stage at Turning Point USA in Florida on July 16th. He went there just after speaking at a separate conference in Iowa, where he was able to interview the leading 2024 candidates for the Republican Party, notably with the exception of Trump. It was just after he, in his own words, was, quote, savaging them on stage. The videos were viral on Twitter. News outlets were plastered with either praise or hit pieces. Some just ignored it altogether. Because what Tucker had done was asked many of the questions that you're, well, not supposed to ask. And between smiles and laughter, Tucker explained what had happened.
The spread between the things that Republicans in Washington, the people you vote for and put there, care about, like actually care about, pretend to care about a lot of things, but the things that really touch them off, that matter to them, very different from the things that matter to the people who vote for them.
Is it really the case that there's a disconnect between what voters care for and what politicians talk about? Well, Tucker seems to believe so, and he had put the theory to the test on a live stage in front of a live studio audience at the 2023 Family Leadership Summit in Iowa. When he spoke with Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, Tucker kept a large part of the 25-minute interview mostly focused on the transgender issue, and he noted that Mr. Hutchinson had previously voted with Democrats to block a ban on hormone treatments for children. Mr. Hutchinson noted he did this because he does not believe the choice of parents is the business of the government, and he also believes that the use of hormones is not irreversible, like gender surgeries, for example, would be. But rather than accept the answer and just move on to other topics, well, Tucker Carlson pressed even deeper. Watch.
Permanent change is one issue, but also hormonal treatment is a different issue and can be a different issue. And whenever
to prevent him from going through the natural process of adolescence, how is that treatment? It seems not like treatment. It seems like something else.
Well, you have to, Tucker, I hope that we'll be able to talk about some issues. I know that.
Well, this is one of the biggest issues in the country, and I think every person in this room would agree that it is a central issue.
The other interviews with the other candidates, they actually played out very similar to that. That's all for YouTube. For the rest of the episode, come join us on epochtv.com, epochtv.com. Escape censorship. Join us. Breathe the fresh air of freedom. Again, link in the description. We'll be talking about some really important stuff. Tucker Carlson's views on, well, escaping the mind hive of censorship and what's happening in this country ideologically. The divide between the political establishment and the general public, and why we can't discuss the topics that actually matter, at least not on, let's say, censored platforms. We'll also be going into the proposals to designate the cartels as terrorist organizations, and also America's new political party and what it could do to the Democrats, especially if Joe Manchin jumps on it. A lot of good stuff to talk about. Join us at Epoch TV for the rest of this episode, epochtv.com. Link in the description. I'll see you there.